Hello, this is Tim Hellman,
This is Frank Eugene Hall.
and this is Movie Talk. Today we're going to review the movie An Inconvenient Sequel, Truth to Power. An Inconvenient Sequel is the sequel to the critically acclaimed environmental doc An Inconvenient Truth. This follow-up covers the progress made to fight climate change since the original film, including former U.S. Vice President Al Gore's, the star of the first movie, efforts to convince government leaders to invest in renewable energy. It was directed this time around by Bonnie Cohen and John Schenk, who also co-directed the 2006 internet bullying documentary Audrey and Daisy. The reviews for the film have been mostly positive, although not as good as the acclaim for the original movie, including some somewhat harshly negative criticism of Gore's exaggerated self-importance and impact on the cause, some believe.
I think that climate change is too important an issue for us to be worried about personal trivialities. If he comes across as, oh look, here I am talking to this India Prime Minister about a really hard problem that they have that's preventing them from coming on board to the Paris Accord, you know, he's trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it, and if people say, oh, he's putting himself forward and grandiose, it's like your t-shirt, don't ask me why I'm a vegan, ask yourself why you're not. If you're saying Al Gore is like grandstanding or whatever like that, ask yourself why you aren't out there doing something as effective. And just get off his case. Let's talk about the facts. Let's talk about the issues. And
I agree. I think he was really charismatic and he was a good hero for the movie because
he was doing a lot of good stuff, and I don't care if someone like that is even egotistical. Like, that is like a detail. It's too important to talk about.
The subject is too important.
Yes, and I think that it's not as critically acclaimed partly because it's a very different movie. This is now, what, 11 years later?
I didn't realize he was going to be in like every scene in the movie, like I was going to follow him around.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be more of an educational documentary, like giving a lot of facts.
Rather than in the first movie, provide a whole lot of facts, try to convince people that these facts are real, that this really is something that we have to pay attention to. At this point, you know, there's so many more things that have been going on that emphasize it more. He's updating us on that. And the people who at this point still are trying to say it's all a hoax are in some ways becoming increasingly irrelevant, and they are not worth spending the time. Connecting with the people who see it, who are trying to solve a problem, that's what we need to be spending our time with. He's bringing us up to date on what's been happening in climate change, which is some scary stuff, but also in technology, which is some very hopeful stuff, diplomatically, some hopeful stuff, except our illustrious President Trump, totally clueless about this important thing, denigrating it and saying that we're going to move out of it as if he knows better than all these leaders in the world that have been working very hard on this based on real science. You know, really, what a jerk. All of these world leaders came together and worked so hard and solved some big problems, and then here's this new guy coming in and say, you know what, yeah, you know, this is the worst deal in history or whatever, and he doesn't understand about all the jobs that can be created from this new economy. Trump is irrelevant at this point. The President of the United States is now a joke on the international arena and largely domestically as well. What I liked about this movie was that it concentrated on giving people facts that can be used to talk to people now. And it's a call to action to get out and talk to people, motivate them, inspire them, and give them hope. This movie gives a lot of hope. It's cheaper to generate energy from sustainable sources like solar.
My favorite part of it was how inspiring it was, and I even teared up a little.
Yeah.
I thought it was emotional.
Well, I think it's a must-see for any thinking person today, any person who cares about the future of the planet that we are leaving to our children and their children and their children.
And veganism is definitely a way to help.
Veganism is definitely a way to help because of agriculture, especially the generation of meat, the leading or nearly leading source of greenhouse gases. So there's good reason to promote veganism.
Oh yeah. He didn't really go into it, but that's okay.
He didn't go into it, and you know.
He didn't go into a lot of what you could do, really. It was more about the government.
It had to be kind of a high level, and I think he made the point that the world is coming together around this. It's no longer a minor issue, a backseat issue. It is a forefront issue for the entire world, leaders of all these nations, and good progress has been made, and that's a good source of hope.
I loved how passionate Gore was in it.
Yes, right.
He's been known for being wooden in the past, but he definitely wasn't wooden in this.
To me, what he was speaking most to me when he said that there will come a time in the future when our descendants will look back at us and ask themselves, what were they thinking back then? They will look at us here now. What were you thinking, that you couldn't see what the world was trying to tell us, what the scientists were trying to tell us, what our own heart, if we would face it, was trying to tell us? And how could you not do something? Mm-hmm. Why did you not act? Why was this not important? Why was it okay that our president would take us out of the climate change accord? Why is that okay? There are a lot of people involved in our government and decision making, and to the ones right now in our current administration and Congress, climate change is not important. And why are we tolerating that? Okay, our children's lives are going to be seriously impacted by what is not happening now. So when he was talking about the future, that was speaking to me. Mm-hmm. Everything we're posting on Facebook, what I'm putting out in social media, and what I'm emailing and writing letters and standing up and talking, what I'm doing, a lot of that is going to be visible to the future generations. If you think that your posts on Facebook are somehow not going to be part of what your descendants look at, think again. Think again.
You think our kids and grandkids are going to look up our Facebook?
You think Facebook will never get hacked by something that winds up on WikiLeaks or whatever, and all of this stuff is like, I mean, really, do you really believe that you're going to be private and forever? Just imagine what your descendants are going to say when they look at what you were not doing, or worse, if you were spreading stuff around about, scientists are doing this all just to make more money from grants and stuff, and all this is a hoax, and being part of the problem of inaction and spreading inaction and promoting inaction on climate change, your descendants see that and they look at you, what will they think of you? Climate change is the biggest impact on them going forward, and we absolutely have to be focused on that.
Environmental stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, among some of the other things that you post.
A lot of vegan stuff, and a part of the vegan stuff is environmental.
Yeah, which is good. Good for you. Good for you.
So I would give it 4.5 stars.
I would give this a 5 because this is important enough and needed enough and done well enough that it inspires, it informs, it motivates, and it actually speaks for life.
Wasn't as good as Conspiracy.
Oh, Conspiracy was a good movie.
We each have our own,
yeah.
What's closer to our hearts. And, Conspiracy is closer to my heart, and this is closer to your heart, I think.
Yeah. Go see it.
I went saw it twice.
Good. It's one of the tiniest theaters in our small town. It's like, why isn't this publicly released more?